Today is the 13th Sunday in Ordinary Time. Our Gospel is taken from Matthew chapter 10, verses 37 through 42. In this Gospel today, we find in the teachings of Jesus something that recurs throughout the Gospels. We might call them the hard sayings of Jesus. In the Gospel today, he says that if you have a higher regard for your mother and father than for me, then forget it. Or words to that effect. In other words, if you prefer your family to your discipleship, then you're not worthy of being a disciple. I think that's a hard saying. What are we to make of it? Let me suggest that Jesus is pointing towards a law of existence that precedes, underpins all cultural, social, religious, human-made laws of any kind, anywhere, anytime. If we go back to the Sermon on the Mount, already he has told his disciples and us, if your righteousness, your morality, doesn't go any deeper than that of the scribes and the Pharisees, you can't be part of the kingdom. What is being proclaimed here is something much deeper than mere custom or ritual or tradition. It's a law of existence established by God. And it raises the question for all of us, where is our morality grounded? Is it grounded in society, societal customs and expectations, culture, ethnicity, even religion? Perhaps it is grounded in what I think. Jesus is proposing something much deeper in response to that question, where is your morality grounded? And it is that deeper sense of law, the law of existence, the law of reality, that enables us to appreciate the hard sayings. Now, in the book of Genesis, chapter 2, verse 24, there's an interesting proclamation which is referred to by Jesus and by Paul in Ephesians, by Jesus in Matthew 19 when it talks of marriage. A man must leave his mother and father and cling to his wife. Now, this is in a culture which placed huge emphasis on never doing anything to offend your father or your mother. Now, we can explain the marital demands as an exception, that you must leave your mother and your father. But it suggests, as it were, a deeper law than just the law that's established by custom or by culture or by society. In Matthew's Gospel, we actually see Jesus responding to this law. He tells the disciples, I must go up to Jerusalem. They don't want him to go up to Jerusalem. Jesus has become aware, or is deeply aware, of what I would call the existential must. The demands of his very being laying claim to his moral choices. Here we're getting towards the ground of morality. This is not just pure subjectivism, what I think or what culture wants me to do. There's another law at work here. It seems that Jesus' moral choices, because he followed this law, alarmed his family. In Mark, they say they came to take him away. And in John's Gospel, people thought he was possessed. So there's a price to be paid for obeying this law. But it's one of the greatest, if not the greatest, challenge and possibility of human existence, to come to know this law as it is expressed in oneself, my unique being. What claim does it lay on my moral choices? This is the realm of conscience. Conscience is the manifester, the connector to this law. Gaudium et Spes has a beautiful text in number 16. In the depths of our conscience, Gaudium et Spes has, we detect a law which we didn't impose on ourselves, but which holds us to obedience, always summoning us to love good and avoid evil. The voice of conscience, when necessary, speaks to the heart, do this, shun that. For we have in our hearts a law written by God. To obey it is the very dignity of the human person. This is hugely significant teaching in the Catholic Church, one which I think we've been slow to take up and promote. It doesn't promote individualism, subjectivism, relativism. It's the very opposite. It promotes responsibility, adult participation in the community, becoming one with others as this one, not just a conformist, but an adult, thoughtful participant. John Paul II reminds us of the sacred responsibility inherent in this teaching in his 1993 encyclical Veritatis Splendor. He writes there, the Church puts herself always and only at the service of conscience. Always and only at the service of conscience. Few people realize that it is Catholic teaching that if one finds oneself at odds with Catholic teaching, one is bound to listen very carefully, to discern, and it may demand a no to what the Church is asking of us. That's a very powerful teaching within the Catholic tradition. In fact, I think that the more we listen for, appreciate, embrace the law of the heart, the more it will bind us into the Church, the body of Christ, the institutional continuation of the Incarnation. The ground of morality is God. Conscience is our connection with God. Based on this, and only based on this, can we appreciate the hard sayings of Jesus.